So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over the world. And the first segment of the week, which is fan comments, hasn't been on the channel for quite a few weeks. It's been a long story, but here I am again, standing on the shoulders of giants. Yes, I need to have another footballing lesson, and of course, who people should I have better than Stan the Man, James Rowe, and IGAK Indian Guna. Stan, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks. Good morning from Vancouver. It's just gone 9:30 in the morning here, so I actually haven't had my toast or tea yet.
Okay. Do you want to go and have your tea before you start?
No, I'm
okay?
good.
Yeah? All right, good. And James, I teach English as a second language to a lot of European, especially people from Spain. And I have a book of superlatives. And I'm running out of superlatives to describe your body of work, James. I've just run out of all these superlatives.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You just aim to keep producing quality. The last two in particular with Dominic Bloodverder and also Viv Anderson in particular, that have been really well received. But it's about we keep producing quality. For viewers that don't know, obviously Stan the Man is in Vancouver. It's 6:30 local time here in Amsterdam. So we're evening time here. But great to be on the podcast as always.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, IG, who's 2/3 of the Mafia Cannon Fodder TV mob. IG, how are you, mate?
Well, we got the other 2/3 today. Well, it's always a pleasure to be on Cannon Fodder, especially with James around and Stan the Man. I mean, the last video's comment section was lit. Thank you so much, Stan, for that.
Yeah, and actually, I've got a lot of positive feedback, from you guys. Literally, people saying that they really like the collective of panelists I get onto Cannon Fodder TV. And like I always say, we're always trying to strive to try and improve the quality and content that we have on Cannon Fodder TV. So again, it's down to you guys. It's not down to me. It's down to you people. So thank you again for coming back on Cannon Fodder TV. The first fan comments I've got to read out is a fan comment. It's from Mube Guna. And he says it was a good live stream that I did a few days ago. He said that he really enjoyed that. And he also says that Mesut Ozil had a really good game. He did, didn't he? He did. He did. Stan?
It was better, wasn't it?
It was compared to previous. Yeah. Do you want to say anything, IG, on that?
No comments on fan comments.
No. Well, listen, Mube goes on to say that I guess our reverse psychology worked yesterday. Really, really good. And now I have to predict that Arsenal are going to lose every single game. The reason why he's saying that is because with Arsenal, you just don't know what to expect. You don't know what to expect from Arsenal. Did any of you guys predict 4-0?
No.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And I've got one here from Richard from our Ask TV who says, it's a good video. I thought in the first half we were a bit rusty, but what a turnaround in the second half. Goes from Aubameyang, Ozil, Pepe, and Lacazette. Guys, what do you think about Lacazette finally scoring a goal?
Well, he really needed that, didn't he? And you could literally see the weight lifting off of his shoulder, and his posture looking looking a lot more better as he put that in the back of the net. You can see how much it meant to him, and you can see how much his teammates were so pleased for him as well. So, I mean, I was of the opinion that the way that to get Lacazette back into a bit of form was to take him out of the starting lineup and to do exactly what Mikel did yesterday, which is have him coming off of the bench and gradually working his way back into the team. And especially when a game looks like it's near enough won and he doesn't have too much pressure to try and find a winning goal or an equalising goal. And I think it paid off dividends. And let's hope that he's able to carry that through now into next week. Because I've got a feeling that maybe we're going to see him start at Olympiacos. So let's hope he's found a bit of form off the back of that goal.
That was going to be my next question, actually. James, do you think Arteta will be tempted to play Lacazette on Thursday? against Olympiacos?
I think it will be. I think it definitely will be. But we need to go with our strongest team on Thursday, and I would look for the front three that we had, for example, and the front three that we possess. Go all out and start as we mean to go on in the Europa League, because it's a difficult tie against a domestically undefeated Olympiacos so far. They've played 24 games in the Greek league. They've won 18. They've drawn 6. They've lost none. And they've got some excellent players, the likes of Emile Moore, the likes of Mathieu Balbuena, and Bruno Gaspar, who Sporting Club de Portugal fans might know. And we mustn't underestimate them, especially in their own stadium. It's well known that there are certain clubs that when you go away from home, they're going to give you a really torrid time. And Olympiacos is on that list, so we're going to have to really put our strongest team together on Thursday and go full pelt, I believe.
Yeah. IG, you very rarely do any like post-game reactions, especially involving Arsenal. What are your thoughts with Arsenal literally 4-0 against Newcastle?
Well, first 20 minutes, I think we were dead.
Was it something I said? Stan, I have that effect on people.
I think doesn't like giving those post-match reactions at all, does he?
All right. Well, listen. Whilst he's sorting out his Wi-Fi, there's a long comment here from a regular, Arnav Ghosh, who says, "I think we continued the way we did in the first half. We were not good. We would have shouted at Arteta on his team selection, leaving Martinelli out, Torreira, Laka on the bench, having Mustafi as a centre-back, but it worked. I agree with your selection on Danny Ceballos as man of the match. Stan, you're a little bit critical on Ceballos.
Yeah,
I thought he didn't have the best of games.
Look, we all come into these podcasts and we talk about what we see, and we all have very different opinions. But from where I was sitting in the pub yesterday, to what I was seeing, to what I've been seeing people write about him online, a lot of people are saying that they thought that he had a really good game yesterday. Whereas everybody where I was sitting in the pub, I mean, he almost headed one into it for an own goal at the beginning of the match. I honestly didn't think that I saw that much of him. But we did need to see him get minutes. Yeah, if we are thinking of spending money on this guy, we need to know whether the money is going to be well spent. So he does need to get minutes. I was of the opinion that a lot of people would be saying, well, he didn't have much of a good game because he's been out for a while. He hasn't had many minutes. But I'm of the opinion that when you do get into the team, when you do get those minutes, that you're supposed to grab your chances with both hands. And maybe I need to watch the game again, because I didn't think that he had a particularly good game at all yesterday.
Okay, all right. IG, you're back. You were giving us your thoughts about the game yesterday, Newcastle.
Well, sorry for my internet. Well, it's working worse than Andrew's, but no problem. So I think yesterday's game, I think the first 20 minutes we were dead. And Alan Saint-Maximin was unbelievable. He was just running riot. I mean, on that left, Hector Bellerin was left for the dead many times. And it always took two people to stop him, like Nicolas Pepe, and sometimes Ceballos. Everyone was trying to help Bellerin on that left-hand side. It was really difficult to control Saint-Maximin. And I believe the way we showed a response in the second half was really, really great. I think the problem is that Newcastle don't have their central striker firing. Joelinton is not working well for them, and they're not scoring more amount of the goals. And probably if they could have taken their chances like what Watford did against us, to come back to 2-2, I think they deserved 2 goals. They really did, but they didn't take their chances, and that's what we were doing. We didn't take our chances before in the previous games, but we took our chances, and I think the Alexander Lacazette's goal, I don't know if it was, when I saw the replay, I think the shot was not quite convincing, but Nicolas Pepe was unbelievable. Bukayo Saka, I mean, he was the kid. I really don't understand how is this teenager playing with these kind of. I mean, he was toying with the defenders, unbelievable. And Nicola Pepe, I mean, I read a piece wherein I guess Graham Souness was actually speaking about Nicola Pepe. He said he reminds him of Thierry Henry. I mean, who did not have a very perfect first season, but he just went on to be Arsenal legend. And I'm just hoping that Arteta gets the best out of him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, Aronaf goes. It's a long comment that Aronaf has put on Cannon Fodder TV, and he says towards the end, he says, in the next few games, if Pepe and Özil do well, dare I say, I don't see the team losing this season. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. 12 games to go. 12 games to go. I think it's a bit of an arse to say that he can't see Arsenal losing. I think it's going to be a really tight ask, first of all, to reach top 4. And we're still a work in progress. Arteta has still got a lot of fine tweaking to do. We know Lacazette, of course, he scored his goal, but I think there's still a long way to go to see a real upturn under the head coach, which is Mikel Arteta. Listen, before we get into the Europa League Cup talk, Stan's got a little bit of history with Newcastle. And we were exchanging WhatsApp messages late last night. Stan, do you want to tell us a little story, a little history that you have with Newcastle?
Yeah, the Arsenal-Newcastle fixtures is always a fixture that it gets my attention. Newcastle, just to explain, Newcastle was my father's team. And the reason for that is that my great-grandfather actually played football for Newcastle United. He was signed from Kilmarnock, because my background is up in Scotland. He was signed from Kilmarnock to Newcastle. I think it was 1903, and he played for Newcastle between 1903 and 1910. He made 235 appearances for the club. He played as a striker, and he scored 81 times for Newcastle. And as records stand, he's got quite a unique record at still being Newcastle United's most honoured and decorated player post World War One. Because during his tenureship playing for Newcastle, he won 3 league champions between 1904 and 1905, 1906, 1907, and 1908 to 1909. And he also won the FA Cup once in 1910, and then also made FA Cup finalist a second time as well, where he lost out. The other fact about him, which my dad used to love telling me when I was a little kid, when I used to sit on his knee, was that my great-grandfather scored for Scotland against England the first time they played each other at Hampden Park. So when I was growing up in South London, the first football match that I ever got taken to, my 2 nearest grounds were Millwall and Crystal Palace. And my dad very conveniently set up my first football match. It was for Crystal Palace v Newcastle. But I just didn't take to it. You know, he wanted me to be a Newcastle supporter, but it was my first match. It was when it was sort of mid to late 80s. It was still standing. People had rattles. You know, there I was standing there. Could hardly see the pitch, surrounded by all these hairy-assed blokes shouting at the football pitch. And I didn't like it. Yeah, I was a bit of a mummy's boy. I didn't like it at all. So when he dropped me off at my mum's and he was like, you know, did you have a nice time? I kind of looked at my mum, looked at him, and I just lied through my teeth. I said, yeah, I loved it. He said, great, because we're going again next week. I was like, I bet the following week it was Crystal Palace v Arsenal. And it was this time I started to take a little bit of notice of what was actually going on the pitch. And the one guy that kept sticking out to me was this guy in a yellow shirt in the number 7. He kept running up and down in front of me because we won the wing. Liam Brady.
Liam Brady.
And that was it for me. You know, I came away from that match and I've been an Arsenal supporter ever since. But, you know, I do always keep an eye out for Newcastle, and I do have a little soft spot for them, you know, because of the family ties.
Brilliant. Listen, we like little anecdotes, you know, stories and what have you on Cannon Fodder TV. Always interesting. Always interesting. Anyone's just passing through and watching fan comments, the first segment of Cannon Fodder TV this week. You will probably see earlier this morning that Good as Vancouver, hosted by Stan the Man or Stan the Geezer, and their post-game reaction. And also, what else is there? There was easy talk. It was easy talk on Saturday, IG, of all days. It was a weird day. Make sure you subscribe to Cannon Fodder TV on all platforms, including YouTube, so you can receive the latest and greatest news right here on Cannon Fodder TV. Right, so there's some action on Thursday, James. Europa League Cup action, and the next game's against Olympiacos.
Yes, you could say arguably the biggest team in Greece, considering how many times they've won the Greek title. I believe it's more than 40 times now. And obviously with the Greek Cup success and dropping down from the Champions League, they was in a group with Red Star Belgrade, Tottenham and Bayern Munich. As I mentioned earlier on in this podcast, they've got a good manager in the Portuguese Pedro Martins. So we're going to have to be at our best on Thursday. This is our third crack of the whip of Europa League. First time round we reached the semi-final. Second time round we reached the final. So hopefully it's third time lucky, because you mustn't forget that this is 26 years now since we've last won a European trophy. For the fans that can remember how special Copenhagen '94 was, I mean, I've been supporting the club for more than 30 years, and that game, that memory, still ranks as one of the best ever. For the manner upon which we did it, and how British clubs, English clubs they were recently banned from Europe, coming off a ban, and nobody expected us to go and do it in the manner upon which we did, and it was very special. But you hope for the next generation now that there's another European trophy coming, and I believe it's the most feasible route to the Champions League. I mean, our fans can be a bit polar opposites at times. Yesterday before the match, we're only, I think, 7 points from the relegation zone, and then we win a game of football, and all of a sudden tension turns to potential Champions League qualification. So I think we've got to take one game at a time. There are no easy games in the last 32 of the Europa League. You only have to go through the fixtures. And as I've said before, this tournament in particular, there's always one team that reaches the final which nobody expects. For example, Ajax in 2017, Marseille in 2018. You could argue that it was unexpected that Arsenal would have reached the final last season, and there's many other examples as well. So I hope that we give it our all. I hope that we can progress, and I hope we take the tournament very seriously indeed.
James, when I did a little bit of homework, and you rightly say that Olympiacos they are currently unbeaten. And I looked at the defensive line, and almost all the defenders are over 6'1" tall. Very, very tall, fast, and strong defenders. It's going to be an uphill struggle come Thursday. I don't want to give my prediction because, I might upset some people. But like you said, it's going to be a tough game come Thursday. A real tough game.
I fully agree. And also as well, you've got to remember that since we've been in this tournament, we've lost to the likes of Cologne, Bati Borisov, Östersund, Rennes. So I know people clamour towards the Champions League, but at the minute, this is our level. And we've got to try to win the competition to get back in the Champions League. And you only have to look at the fixtures. You've got the likes of Bayer Leverkusen against Porto, Wolfsburg against Malmo. I think Glasgow Rangers play Braga. Manchester United play Bruges. Wolves play Espanyol, who are in the relegation zone in Spain. But I'm sure Espanyol will give them a really good game. And there'll be many surprises along the way. But we've just got to take it round by round and take it very seriously indeed.
IG, what are your thoughts on Thursday's game against Olympiacos? Real tough opponents.
Very tough. I think, as James rightfully said, they have actually scored 53 goals in their league competitions and just shipped 9 goals. That says a lot in terms of their defense is concerned. And I think in the terms of their performance in the Champions League, that's what matters to me, because I think in the European competitions, they've been quite reckless in terms of the game against Tottenham. I had actually seen. I think we need our fullbacks to turn up. And especially, I think it's because what Serge Aurier did, and there was a mistake from one of the centre backs that led to that Dele Alli goal. The way Tottenham came especially when Daniel Podence actually left for Wolves. I think there could be a problem in that right wing spot, but I think Youssef El Arabi is a very good striker for them. 18 goals and 6 assists. He's been superb for them. And maybe I believe that, and also we need to be worried about the long range shots. They're really potent with that as well. So let's see how things turn up to be, because if we don't give up, if we don't come out with the best team in the first leg itself, I think we will be in trouble. We'll definitely be in trouble.
Yeah. Stan, Olympiacos Thursday, man.
I think that the selection that we had in the Newcastle game, I think Mikel Arteta was making that selection with one eye on this game. Piggybacking off of what the lads have just said, it's not going to be an easy game. I mean, some of the best nights that we've had out so far this season was earlier on in the season under Unai Emery in our European games. I was certainly looking forward more to those Europa League games than I was the league games earlier on in the season. But I don't think this is going to be an easy task. And as James quite rightly said, you know, we have to accept that this is the level that we're playing at. There was a time when going into a fixture against Olympiacos, we would see, well, that we would definitely be able to get something out of this game. I'm not so sure. It's going to take everybody working hard and to be, you know, very well organised to get something out of this game. And I think it's vital that we try to get into the Champions League any which way we can this season. If we can't do it through the league, if that's out of our grasp, then maybe we should be focusing on putting all of our eggs into this basket, because financially, I think that we cannot afford to not be playing in Europe. And if we can't get into the Champions League, then I think it's vital that we do remain in the Europa League and somehow keep touch with Europe, because it's the knock-on effects I just think are so big. And, you know, being able to attract players, being able to keep players that we want to keep. So I think that this competition is really, really important to us, and that we should do everything within our power to get the results that we need, and not just, you know, look at teams and games coming up and think that these are games that we should be winning, because this is the level where we are now. We have to accept that we're not a Champions League level team yet.
Yeah. James, I just get the feeling that maybe last season was the best chance that really we had to win, you know, our first bit of European silverware, you know, and it's going to be a tough ask come Thursday.
Absolutely. You only have to look at last season, for example, you know, when we had the knockout phase against Sparta Borisov and Rennes and Napoli and Valencia. And we just have to take, I know it sounds cliche, but we've just got to take it round by round. You know, there's this tournament. You know, I look at the likes of Bayer Leverkusen and Porto and Wolfsburg, and even Malmö last 32. They came through the qualifying rounds. You know, and I was at 2 of the 3 home games in the group phase against a very poor Standard Liège, and I was also at the Frankfurt match, and we went into that match 1-0 up at half time, and the atmosphere in the ground was the game's already been won when their keeper had made some tremendous saves, and we come out second half and we wasn't ready for them, and they managed to turn it around and win 2-1. And Frankfurt are now mid-table in Germany. I think their best chance of European football is to win the respective German Cup. But we've got to take it round by round. We've got to really fight for it, because, you know, we know how big we are. But big clubs win in Europe every now and again, and it's high time we showed it as well, because you wouldn't get the likes of Bayern Munich, for example, or Juventus, for example. Even Ajax here in the Netherlands have made more European progression than Arsenal in recent years, reaching the semi-final of the Champions League, almost reaching the final of the Europa League as well. So it's simply not a case of just kind of passing the games off and hoping for the best. We've really got to focus on it and do our best to try and win the competition.
Tough ask. Let me go to the chat. There's been just a few comments come through. One of which is from Richard from Arsenal TV. He says, there is 11 games left in the league, and if we can get a good run of form, then who says we can't get top 5 if our teams slip up in front of us? It's up for grabs, but we need to be consistent now. He goes on to say we are only 6 points behind Sheffield United. Guys, realistically, do you think, what is the highest position you think we can realistically achieve, IG?
Sixth.
Yeah. Stan?
It's a hard one because I think and Richard used the word consistency is the one thing that we've been really missing out on. I thought it was vital that when we came back from this little mid-season break that we've had, coming off of the back of all of the draws that we've managed to accrue, I was so nervous that we would go into this Newcastle game and we might, that we could get a loss, and not even be able to get another draw, and that could be viewed as a little bit of a backward step. So I was so happy that we got a win eventually after all of these draws. Where can we finish? I don't see why. I want to be very optimistic. If it means that because of what's happening to Man City, that fifth is like the place to get into Europe now, there may be an opportunity that we can get into fifth. There may be an opportunity that we can get into fifth if we work hard.
James, I know it's a bit, 11 games to go. Realistically, which position do you think we could potentially end up?
Well, I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, 8th. You've got to look at the teams above us, the likes of Chelsea and Sheffield United. They haven't dropped many points, and I don't think they'll drop many points. I think Leicester as well. I think they'll go on a good run again. And yeah, the fact remains that yesterday was our 26th Premier League match this season, and after the 26th match, we've won 7, drawn 13, and lost 6. And it's been a very topsy-turvy season. But you've also got to think of the away games we have in the last 12. We've got Manchester City away, Tottenham away, Wolves away, Southampton away. It's not going to be easy, especially the away games. So we're still in 2 cup competitions. I'm hopeful personally that we can finish as high as we possibly can and win 1 piece of silverware. That's what I'm hopeful for the remainder of the season.
Okay. All right.
So that means we've got 12 games, right?
Yeah, it's 12 games, isn't it? We've got 12 games remaining. Yeah.
Yeah, 12 left. Yeah, 26 matches played, and I think I said on the start a recent podcast ones I did. I think we all, as football fans, were very happy with the football season. We're always very excited to see all the games, but I think some fans also forget how long a football season can actually be. Kicks off pre-season, and in August, all the topsy-turvy games that come thick and fast, and all sometimes you can forget how long it actually takes, and there's still a long way to go. We've got to be pleased that after a topsy-turvy season already, especially with what's gone on behind the scenes, that we're still in 2 cup competitions. And you would expect us to beat Portsmouth and reach a quarter final. I'm hopeful of a 2-legged victory against Olympiacos, and then who knows from there on in.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to just wrap off all these last comments in the chat. Sanjay says, top 5 will be difficult this season. Do you think we should concentrate on Europa League and qualify for the Champions League, Stan?
Yes. For sure. Yeah. I mean, basically, that's what I was just saying. I think it's vital that we're in Europe next season. And I would probably be using the Europa League as if they were my league games, and maybe doing a little bit of tinkering and experimentation in the Premier League games, which will help Mikel Arteta figure out who his best team is, who he can rely on, who he can't rely on. And I think that's actually what we saw in the game yesterday. I mean, there was no point in bringing Eddie Nketiah back off of loan if we weren't going to use him. And I'm of the opinion, I would rather that we've done what we did do with Eddie. We've brought him back, and we find out now whether Eddie Nketiah has what it takes to be an Arsenal player, rather than keeping him out on loan. He comes back, has a little bit of a pre-season, he goes out on loan again, and it's almost like we don't want to find out the answer. We're trying to hide and prolong the answer of whether this kid's going to make it or not. Personally, I don't think he is going to make it at Arsenal. I don't think I ever see a day where Eddie Nketiah is going to be our starting striker, and that's where all of the eggs are going to be placed. I just don't see it happening, and I'd rather that we find that out sooner than later, so that we can make a decision on whether he needs to be moved on or we get in a replacement.
Okay.
That's a bit negative. That was a bit negative, wasn't it?
It was.
Sorry, Eddie, I do love you.
He also goes on to say, do you think Leno should start over Martinez in coming Europa League fixtures, IG?
Well, then Martinez is going to leave Arsenal as well to get regular football. I mean, I think we respected Peter Cech last season, and we gave him the whole of Europa League fixtures. I expected Leno to start in the final, but that did not happen. That's probably because we were paying too much respect to Peter Cech. But I think Martinez should be given the Europa League competition. If we started with him, I think we need to take. He's a good. He started a competition much more confidently, but I don't think so. He has any problems. I think he's well enough to play for us, represent us in the Europa League.
Okay. Richard says, I say we concentrate on both, and I think Mikel Arteta won't put all his eggs into one basket. Ryan says, I think, in all honesty, asking a lot of other teams to drop enough points that we would capitalise on. Let's just play out remaining matches and see what happens. Don't raise expectations just yet. Ryan, I've got to say, I actually absolutely agree with you. I think, the season's been so topsy-turvy, and to ask those top 6 teams to drop points is going to be a real hard push. And for me, I'm going to go for 7th. I think we might end up in 7th place, but what do I know? What do I know? Not Rising 101. We've got, begging your pardon, we have Rising 101 who says, evening, will Arteta play Leno or Martinez? Don't know. I'm not raising my expectations, but all I'm saying is do able, but just need to be consistent from now till the end of the season. Bull 699. The final was for the taking last year, but how woeful we were against Chelsea, who had already got a Champions League. Absolutely, and like I said, Cenk, I think last season for me personally was the best opportunity to have won some European silverware for 25 years. This season, like we've always said, the teams are getting stronger and stronger.
Absolutely. And I think going back to the final last May, it was a collective failure. I don't put it down to just a team selection or a manager. It was a collective failure. I mean, I was fortunate enough to interview the legend that is Bob Wilson, and we spoke about what happened in Baku. And he was saying about when he travelled with the squad to Baku and all the run up to the final and where it was and how it felt. Really, it felt a little bit strange to be going such a long way to a final and the environment. I mean, if you compare that to this year's final, it's in Gdansk in Poland, and next year's final is in Seville in Spain. So it really is the luck of the draw when you're. I mean, obviously you can't pick and choose where you play, but with the decisions that UEFA make. But we had a tremendous opportunity, which unfortunately we couldn't take. But we've got to try and take it this time round and really fight to the end. I mean, our Europa League since we started, with the starting up with, for example, the games in the group phase, and then the Ostersunds and Atletico Madrid. And I remember the sigh of disappointment when we faced Atletico Madrid in the semi-final when the draw was made. It was as if some Arsenal fans had given up before a ball had even been kicked. And although it was a very good Atletico Madrid side, and I thought by my own admission, I thought we was very lucky against Rennes, who, even though we won that game 3-0 and managed to turn the tie around, they hit the post, had some great chances, but I think their team selection let them down in the second leg. So we've really got to take it round by rounds and enjoy it as well, because if things do go awry, we're not going to be playing in European football next season. And we've had years and years and years of people taking for granted European qualification. Getting knocked out in the Champions League last 16, not making much of an impression. And, this could be our last European campaign for a while, perhaps. Normally it's always been consecutive, but unless we gain qualification to Europe, we're not going to be playing in it next season. So you've got to take your chances when they come, enjoy it as well, and hopefully lay that goes to rest of 26 years since our last European trophy.
Yeah. He comes back and says, I think we should do better in Europe under under Arteta. Again, the proof is in the pudding, isn't it? Let's see what will happen. And he also says
it's a bit of an unknown. It's a bit of an unknown quantity, right? Because this is Arteta's first go at doing everything, right? So it's a big learning curve for Mikel Arteta, and all our hope is that the little mistakes that he does make along the way, that those mistakes are realised and they're not made again coming into the next season.
Unknown quantity. Sorry, beg your pardon. But didn't UEFA say that if you reach knockout stages, you can't be drawn against a Champions League side that's dropped down, James?
Well, I think it's what was notable in the actual draw is you had the group winners of the respective Europa League groups, which were 12. And then you had the point system of the teams that had dropped down from the Champions League. Of the 8 teams that have dropped down, the teams that had gained the most points in their respective group were seeded, and the ones that didn't were not. So it was a little bit strange, but we've got who we've got, and we have to accept that. And there are no easy games in Europe. I mean, when I look back to Europa League, as I say, the last 3 years, we haven't beaten the likes of. I remember playing Sporting Lisbon in the group phase, and losing in Cologne and losing in Rennes. So there are things with unknown quantities, but I would say with for all fans, it might not be the Champions League, but it's a chance for a European trophy generation. I mean, we're lucky. I mean, for the fans that remember '94, how lucky are we? That such a special memory is still vivid. How long ago it was. But you just hope that we can take it one round at a time. That there is going to be surprises in this tournament, and should we face should we manage to get through and face an unknown quantity, don't write them off. Don't automatically think that we're playing, for example, a Sporting Braga, who are a very good side in Portugal, or we're playing on Malmo, who have come through the qualifying rounds, or even Arsene Alkmaar here in the Netherlands, who are currently second. There are no easy games. So we just have to take it one round at a time, one leg at a time, and fingers as far as possible.
Would it be unfair of me to ask each and every one of you for a prediction come Thursday? IG.
Well, yes, it would be unfair. Because
I want a prediction anyway.
You want us to be okay, fine. I think the way things are going on, I think if we are defensively astute, that's what I want. That's what I want Arsenal to do. I think 3-1 is a possibility, and I would want Lacazette to score and gain that confidence back again, because scoring against a team that actually dropped out of Champions League, it's really good. I think that would boost his confidence as well. But I'm going for a 3-1 win.
Okay, Stan the Geezer.
This one's at home, right? This is a home game, yeah.
Away.
Oh, it's away.
First leg's in Greece, Stan.
Oh,
first leg's in Greece.
In that case, then I think that we might have a little bit of a struggle away from home, but do better at home. I thought the first leg was at home, so I'm going to go for an away draw. I don't know what the score will be. We won't keep a clean sheet, I don't think, but I think a draw. We could maybe scrape out a draw and then hopefully get the right result at home.
James.
I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I think, considering they're unbeaten and in their own stadium as well, which is never an easy place to go. We've been there on countless Champions League occasions as well, and come undone.
Okay. Do you want to know my prediction? No, I don't think you do. I don't think you do. No,
Come on.
I think 2-1. 2-1 to Olympiacos. It's such a tough place to go to, a tough ask. I can't. I just can't see us getting a draw. 2-1 to Olympiacos. Yeah. Anyway. I'm going to call it quits for this segment of fan comments. Before I do, I want to say a big thank you to IG, aka Indian Guna. IG, what is all this? What's this?
I follow Paulo Dybala a lot. That's his, the way he celebrates the goal. I like it because it's quite cool. So that's the thing. It's always no. I think that changed. I think it was something like this when he scored the goal. Yeah, I think lovely. I think it's always great to be here. I think looking forward to the Olympiacos game and fan comments, a new segment. Loving it always. And as always, thank you so much, James, to enlightening us with so much of rules and regulations and definitely the information. And Stan, I hope your dad is definitely hating Mike Ashley now.
Yeah,
Stan, thanks for coming back on Cannon Fodder TV, mate.
Thanks for having me on, and it was nice chatting to both James and IG today.
Yeah, brilliant. And of course, last but not least,
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, James, again, thank you very much. And your body of work, like saying the superlative, I've just run out superlatives, describing your piece of work. But if anyone's not sure, you just released the Viv Anderson interview, and what other interviews have you released through World Football Index, James?
Well, as I say, the recent interviews with Dominic Bloodworth and Viv Anderson have recently been released, and viewers can check them out on worldfootballindex.com and also on my Twitter at JamesRoweNL. Upcoming publications would include the likes of Joe Mattock, who's currently on form at a good Rotherham side, former Manchester United midfielder Luke Chadwick, and the first Premier League goal back in 1992, Brian Dean. So I hope that the readers and viewers will enjoy them, and we just keep going, and we'll see what the future will.
Absolutely. And like James always says, everyone's got a story to tell, and this fan comment story is about to come to an end. And so, if you guys have been wondering who or what you've been watching Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over the world.